Welcome to Coach's Corner, a discussion by coaches and industry experts on challenges, trends, and paths forward as we navigate the life of business. My
Hmm.
name is Mike Lamb of Focal Point Business Coaching of Utah, and with me is Adam Gaheb of Focal Point Business Coaching of Cary.
That's
Um,
right.
welcome, everyone. Today we have a special topic we want to discuss, and
Right.
don't have a guest, so it's just Adam and I. So hopefully we're insightful and bring some fun to the conversation.
Hopefully, come on,
It's
Mike.
on,
I've got
it's
way more
on
faith
us.
in us than that.
Well, to introduce the topic, I want to share a quote that I heard. And the topic is accountability, and how
Yep.
we use accountability to motivate in coaching. And I read this or heard this interesting quote about how accountability is observing and noticing without judgment. And to me, that really struck home for a coach. Because
Hmm.
as a coach, I believe it sometimes people are concerned that they come with judgment. And for me as a coach, I come with no judgment, and I
Sure.
observe what my clients have going on, what they're working on. And then I can give them direction and accountability to where they want to go. Um, so for me, that really kind of hit home with accountability, that quote did.
Yeah.
And I think we all need it in our own lives and even in business and whatever it is. I think accountability is so important.
Well, Mike, without accountability, how do you how do you actually get things done, right? I mean, we can tie this back into, goals and strategic plans and all of that fun jazz, but the reality is without accountability, there's no way for you to stay on track. And if you're not on track, you're what? You're falling behind, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you broach the conversation of accountability when you are talking to clients?
I typically it's approached in a way of what they want to accomplish,
Okay.
wh- where they want to go, what actions they're going to have to get there,
Yeah.
and how much time they want to get there. Then I'm able to say, okay, we need to keep you accountable to that. You really want to get there, and I'm here to help you get there. And
Mm.
so I'm going to hold you accountable, and I'm going to ask you about it the next time we discuss this.
Right. Well, okay. So what happens if, let's say, you and a client have identified X, Y, and Z tasks for, coming out of today's session, right? And then you start next week's session, you start talking about wins, you start talking about what they've accomplished. What happens if they haven't done those things that you agreed to?
So that does happen. Um, so what that does to me is I want to acknowledge what they have accomplished.
Of course.
So I want to say, okay, we had these tasks, we didn't get there. What did we get done to get there?
Mm.
Because you did accomplish something, I would hope, between the last time we met. But if you haven't, then what do I need to give to you to help you take those steps so that you can accomplish
Okay,
it?
that's good. That's good. I like that. I take a similar approach, slightly different. I
Similar,
also
slightly different.
slightly different. I mean, yes and no. I try to take it a step further, and what I mean by that is this: it's not necessarily what you didn't do, but it's what did you do in place of it, and more importantly, what value did that add, right? Because then, Mike, then you can go down that whole path of, okay, well, accountability is great because it holds you, and I'm going to stop using the word accountable, but it puts you to be responsible for your actions and outcomes. But if you have deviated from your action plan, then there had to have been a purpose. There had to have been some external outlier or variable that came in and disrupted, what was the planned activity to achieve a targeted goal, right? So I always love to dive into, okay, well, what did you do? And then what value did that add? That's a great way to start the conversation because A, you're not judging, you're not evaluating the tasks and actions that someone did, but you're just you're questioning what did they do in place, and then it leads into, well, what value did that add for you, right? How did that tie back to your goals and actions? If it didn't, then you reinforce what the previous goal was, and then the corresponding actions, right?
Yeah, or you may be able to evaluate it and say we misprioritized
Highly
your
possible, right?
maybe there's an item they need to be working on that they need to be held accountable to that hasn't been brought to the table that is more important or a higher priority than the one
Mm.
that you have in front of it.
I mean, listen, we always talk about, the three A's, right? Eric's three A's, awareness, action, and accountability. And we always talk about the accountability piece last because it kind of is that glue that binds all of the other actions together. And it really forces us to have some self-reflection on whether or not we're putting in our full effort. I think you and I have chatted about some of this stuff before, but deep down if you've given it your 100%, right? If you are trying to achieve a new action and, implement change within your life, your routine, any of your disciplines, there are things you have to overcome in order to do that, correct?
Yeah.
So, you know, utilizing the accountability piece, it really, really focuses you to look at how you're handling your time management. Because if you're not doing those things to meet your number one stated objective goal, then it goes back to, all right, well, what am I doing instead? Uh, I find it fascinating.
Yeah, if you don't have that goal and you don't have something motivating you to get to that goal, you're going to deprioritize it and you're going to put it aside and you're not going to add the value to it that you need to, and maybe not even get to that goal ever. So
Mm,
you have to really assess what you're trying to get to and what you want to accomplish. And as a coach, we have to identify what they want to accomplish and how to get there. So that's part of our accountability to them is to know what their overall vision and their goal is,
mm.
and that we're holding them accountable to get to that. And if what we're holding them accountable to doesn't get them to where their vision and their goal is, and we have to assess whether we're on the right path.
Absolutely. So, is it fair to say that you kind of use the accountability piece as a way to motivate clients to achieve goals?
100%.
Okay.
Um, it should be a motivating, everyone likes a win, right?
Yeah.
Everyone likes a win, not just Charlie Sheen. We all like our
Oh boy.
win.
Slippery slope.
But everybody likes to win, and that's how we get a lot of people get motivated is by getting wins. And if we're held accountable to things and getting to it, say it's, hey, by the end of the year, I want to hit X amount of dollars, and you hit that and you have that win, man, that motivates you to go get the next one, right?
Right. You know what that also does is it sets that platform for you to set that next goal, right? I mean, if we're doing this appropriately and we're working and coaching our clients the way that we probably feel like we all should, all of our goal setting is so tightly tied to the accountability piece because your goals have to be small, time boxed, iterative. You are continuously growing on last time's output, immeasurable, right? So utilizing a win as a motivating factor to not just celebrate what was achieved, but as a springboard to set that next goal, I think is a key critical piece. Wouldn't you think so?
Oh, 100%. Like you have to be able to utilize that, get that win, then reach for the next one.
Right, right.
And so, and if it really ties in great with teams. If you're a leader of a team
Hmm.
and you're accountable to getting your goals, they're going to see you accountable to your goals, and they're going to want to be accountable to their goals within the team, right?
Yeah, I mean that is so clearly on display when you think about setting goals for a year, right? The organization, the CEO, the C-suite, they always start with these are the big main goals for the year, and then as you go through that goal rating exercise and that filters throughout the organization, what happens, right? Those main goals get tailored to each level as they head down, right? So that they're all solely focused on meeting those 3 or 4 main objectives, but they're all written in a means and manner that are very much tailored to the level of the, let's call it, employee or their deliverable, within their responsibility chain. Yeah,
Totally. Yeah.
fascinating stuff. So, you know, quick thought here. So, what is how have you used accountability this week in a session?
Um, well, there's been several times I've used it. One was an individual that's working on, improving their own understanding of their employees, and they had a goal to assess the behaviors and the disc of each employee.
Hmm.
And I'm holding him accountable to that because he wants to be able to communicate better with all of his team
I
members.
think we all do, right?
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
his goal this week was to go and assess how the communication styles are for each one of his team members
Okay.
so that he can communicate with them better. I coached him on how to assess that quickly and identify it. Now he's going to go and he's going to identify that and come back to me and tell me how that went, and we'll walk through each one of the employees and see how well he understands their communication style and how he's going to communicate forward with them. So that was
Excellent.
one example that we set that goal. He's coming back next week with the results from
And
that.
what is the value play from that exercise?
Well, in the end, he's going to understand his employees better. He's going to
Sure.
communicate to them in the way that they want to be communicated to and understand them better.
Yep.
And then number two, he's going to be able to identify future employees as he's bringing them on how they want to be communicated to. And so it helps him be a better leader
Okay.
in general.
I like that. I like that. So, I've been talking a lot this week. It's really busy week, which is a great thing, right? But, you know, things that people keep coming back to is the utilization of accountability within a coaching practice and why they have such a hard time doing it themselves. And so I kind of wanted to pose that question to you. Why do you think that this is a tool that we wield and use so well, but it's so hard for people to kind of have that accountability as a singular person if it's just kind of self-reflection?
Hmm. You know, training is just training without accountability, right?
Okay.
It's just you're just a
Okay.
guy talking, right? Nothing without accountability, it's nothing. And so I think a lot of us in our lives have gotten to a point where, hey, I've gone to college, I've been leading a business, I've been doing all these things, and I've gotten there maybe without accountability or with some accountability, or I finally got to this pedestal where I think I don't have as much, don't need
Mhm.
somebody to hold me accountable. So maybe my thought of myself is that maybe I can just do this and I can hold myself accountable to things.
Okay.
Um, and that's what I see. I think I don't know that for me, that's why I have to have a mentor that keeps me accountable is, this is a new thing for me with coaching
Mhm.
and being held accountable to my goals and things that I want to accomplish kept me on the path that I need to be on.
It's
Um,
fascinating. All of the same things that we coach through our modules and work with our clients on are things that we all utilize ourselves, right? You said it. You have a mentor. I have a coach. I have several, right? And it's one of those things that everyone needs one. I haven't met a singular person or singular business owner who hasn't looked back at some point in life and said, I didn't need a coach, I didn't need a mentor, I didn't need help. Um, Asking for that help is not always the easiest to do, but when you actually open yourself up and you are accepting of outside influence and a different perspective, it is amazing what it can do for you because it's like you've been freed and you start to think of things in different manners, and that leads to different ways of solutioning, more possibilities for outcomes, and it really just opens the possibilities that you already have locked in there. Yeah, I was actually having the same exact discussion this morning, and I was articulating that I'm happy and thrilled that A, we no longer have to be the subject matter experts about every industry, every pillar, everything that we do, right? Um, Business is a universal language. And so what we have to do is we have to be capable of asking proper questions, actively listening, right? So we can truly understand and digest clients' key goals and then build plans so that they get the accountability of reaching said goals, right? Their success is our success, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm I'm wearing a Utah Jazz hat right
Oh,
now.
look at you. Go Celtics. Just saying.
Yeah. But John Stockton wouldn't have been able to play the pick and roll to Karl Malone perfectly
Yep.
like he did without Jerry Sloan giving them that play and making sure they were in the right spot and playing it perfectly and coaching it to them.
Mm,
You know? And even though it's a principle that's the same probably for all players in the NBA, he helped them get it right and get it right perfectly.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of accountability in team sport.
Yeah,
There's a ton of accountability in teams in general, right?
Karl Malone's the number one scorer, and John Stockton led in assists and steals. They're pretty good at their game, but they're still having a coach help them get to where they need to be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I love that you went with that sports reference because it does a really good job of kind of tying in the importance. You know,
I
when
actually think I misreferenced, though. I don't think Karl Malone's number one in scoring.
oh,
He's like number two.
listen, the beauty is
Goes
no one's
back
fact
that.
checking. Not yet, not yet. Wait until we end up posting this, and then we'll have comments all over about
Hopefully.
our sports fact checking. Well, listen, Mike, this has been absolutely fascinating. Anything else that you kind of wanted to wrap up this topic with?
No, I think it's
No,
great.
awesome. Well,
Well,
good.
thanks for talking with me, and I love accountability, and it seems like something you're very passionate about. So
Yeah, I I just love it. There is nothing better than being able to celebrate accountability. And more importantly, when people hold themselves accountable and they don't need it, they don't need the outside influence. You know what that means? That means that we're making progress. That means that clients are starting to understand the topics, lessons, and skills that we're passing down as tools. And now they're learning how to wield those tools in their own paths. I mean, when client X comes back and finishes things up and said, by the way, I finished those activities and I was thinking we can go here next. I just beam because I'm like, oh, it's making sense, right? Nothing feels better, so fulfilling, and we have this wonderful accountability word to go thank for it. So awesome.
well, you guys can catch this on Podbeam and check out Adam and myself on our social networks
That's right.
on LinkedIn, Facebook, and all those places. So thanks for being on with me, Adam.
As always, Mike, I appreciate you. And everyone else, have yourself a great week, and we will talk again soon. All right. Take care, guys.